Hi everyone, long time no see. I don't claim to be as strong as many others in this battle who endure much more than I do on a daily basis. Sometimes, like over the past few weeks, it all gets too much and I've been finding it hard to get past it. Maybe making this video will do the trick. We'll see. But it's November 2023, and according to the man who goes by the name of Joss Pryor, I'm still dining out on the assault on me by three men at Speaker's Corner 6 years ago. Pryor, who, unlike me, has obsessed over this episode ever since it happened and has commented on it ad nauseam, has made this same allegation that I'm dining out on the experience many times since it happened. How ironic is it that Pryor has mentioned it far more frequently than I have in the years since? I only ever mention it to correct falsehoods about it and to express my anger about the worst of those falsehoods, most of which were started by Pryor himself within hours of the assault in a 25-tweet thread that he has reposted many times in the years since. Repeating the lie that I was the aggressor and put someone in a headlock is fine by him, but my calling out that lie and retaliating, as I did here with the man who goes by the name of Katie Montgomery, is not okay. That's me dining out on it. That's me being a dickhead and a childish attention seeker, all proclaimed without a trace of irony from the attention-seeking dickhead-in-chief, who still claims to this day that I instigated the whole thing because, of course, filming a public protest in a spot renowned for free speech is instigation to be physically attacked, and how dare I not accept due responsibility for it. It's November 2023, and some men, the worst men, the men who personify all that is rotten in humankind, are still blaming women for the violence they get from men. The bit about my admitting that I kicked and hit them more times is sheer invention on his part. In fact, every word, every claim he ever makes about me, about my husband, about my website, and about that assault on me is a lie. He has come to believe that he can lie about and express with impunity his all-consuming hatred against not just me, but all those fighting back against gender lunacy. And he's apparently decided to devote the rest of his sad life to doing so, because as long as he keeps lying, he will continue to get love and validation from other odious, woman-hating no-marks. To them, he's the hero who rewrote a paragraph of my life in order to make it more palatable to trans-identifying people whose own lived experience we're supposed to take seriously while denying our own. Getting those lies about me spread far and wide and enthusiastically repeated by other members of his cult is probably the greatest achievement of his life. I mean, what else has he got to show for it? Now, because I'm still getting crap from these people to this day, that's why I decided to re-upload to my YouTube channel the abridged account of the assault, which I'd first published in January 2020, which Pryor was obviously triggered by. This amended version is speeded up. I re-recorded the narrative over all the footage from the day for better sound quality, and I cut out the 3-minute introduction and all my facetious comments. As a result, it's more concise while retaining all the original footage, which clearly contradicts the false version first put out by Pryor. Now, on Saturday, this comment by an anonymous coward appeared below it, and that's what prompted me to finally make this video. Are you still trying to cash into your blatant provocation that day? Cash into? I see you failed to mention your attack onto an innocent trans woman, evidence of which is evident in the proper Essence of Thought video. Essence of Thought is a YouTube channel owned by a man called Peter Thurston, also known as Ethel Thurston. As you may know, Thurston has made, I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 videos repeating Pryor's false narrative about me and calling me a fascist. And I made videos, 2 videos reacting to them. I challenged Thurston to engage in a public debate over what he has said about me, and he responded that he doesn't debate fascists. Well, how convenient. Back to this comment. You're pure scum with your lies. How many times now have you tried to make a martyr of yourself, you scumbag? Seriously, you narcissistic dickhead. How many times are you going to play the victim? And there were further comments from him that were even worse and that I'm not going to show at the moment. They are still there below that video. But again, people can put out this false narrative about me, but any attempt by me to set the record straight, which is something I'm always going to do, to be honest. But that's me being a martyr and playing the victim, and they're too stupid to see that however much their words might hurt my feelings and make me despair at their dishonesty and lack of humanity and despise them even more than I do already, ultimately they are hurting themselves and what they stand for. Decent people don't like liars and bullies. So just to really annoy them, let's have a quick reminder of what happened. This is me, standing alone in front of quite a large group of young people, filming them shouting. Obviously, it is blatantly provocative of me not to be intimidated by them, when intimidating us is what they'd travelled all the way to Speaker's Corner to do. This is me attacking an innocent trans woman. This is my unfortunate knee-jerk reaction when I try to get footage of the innocent trans woman I attacked. This is another attack by me on 2 innocent trans women, and another attack by me on the first innocent trans woman. Here's me attacking one of the innocent trans women by trying to stop her grabbing my camera. Here's my camera being smashed to the ground by the innocent trans woman. Here's me trying to stop the innocent trans woman running away by holding on to her however I can. Here's me attacking the first innocent trans woman again, getting right in the way of his fist. And here's my final attack on the innocent trans women that was so vicious I ended up on the ground. The innocent trans women are obviously so terrified at my brute strength and ferocity that instead of calling the police and reporting me and handing over all the evidence, all the footage, they ran away. You know, at first I found it hard to fathom why anyone would believe that I would deliberately instigate a violent attack on me, or that I was physically capable of putting any able-bodied man in a headlock, or of carrying out any of the feats of extraordinary strength that have been attributed to me by men who LARP as women. But I have since come to understand that these people who, given that they seem to have convinced themselves that men can be women, are prone to delusions anyway, these people are strongly motivated to lie to themselves and to anyone else who's listening, and they will spin anything that gets in the way of their own victim narrative into something else entirely, even at the risk of making themselves look ridiculous. The fact that I fought back both physically while being physically attacked and by refusing to shut up and let the lies and defamation go unchallenged perhaps goes some way to explaining why these men are still repeating these lies 6 years on. But I have come to believe that the fundamental reason for their visceral hatred pertains to their shame about their paraphilia. You can read about autogynephilia in many articles, some of them written by self-confessed autogynephiles, linked to from a page devoted to the subject on my website. peaktrans.org. For most of them, it's something they'd rather we didn't know about, but the bottom line is that the modern trans movement is a men's sexual rights movement. They get off on lying about and abusing women. That is the only explanation that makes sense for the depths of their hatred and the lengths they go to in trying to shut people up. And I'm not just talking about me here, I'm talking about all the people whose reputations and livelihoods they try to destroy. The time and effort they put into trying to ruin people is staggering, and it is because they can't defeat us using reason, evidence, and humanity. But to look on the bright side, were it not for the defamatory and very upsetting comments made about me by the likes of Pryor, Ros Kavanagh, Katie Montgomery, and many others who aren't even man enough to use their real names, like this man who calls himself Secret Gamer Girl and who called me a giant, terrifying beast, built like a linebacker, beating the hell out of someone who he described as less than half my size, but who was actually a 25-year-old 6-foot-tall man. Were it not for the likes of these dudes, I wouldn't have developed my website as a huge resource for those fighting back, nor would I have started making videos in which I dismantle the so-called arguments presented by the anti-women activists. Both the website and the YouTube channel have piqued many more people than I can count. Now, when JK Rowling first mentioned me back in 2020, it brought many of the sewer dwellers to the surface to regurgitate their fantasy version of me as a gigantic kamikaze pearl-clutching pensioner who deliberately provoked a physical attack by 3 men in order to beat the hell out of one of them and then dine out on it for the rest of my life. For the blog post I wrote back then, I selected just 3 examples from that particular incarnation of their hate campaign. Here they are again, and from them you learn that I am built like a brick shithouse and had a transgender kid in a chokehold. I assaulted someone half my size over petty drama. I was filming people to dox them and put one of them in a headlock. So when I learnt that JK Rowling had mentioned me again, my first reaction was trepidation that I would have to endure another tsunami of lies. I steeled myself to go take a look at the Twitter timeline from the biggest liar of them all, and I wasn't at all surprised to see Pryor is still at it, lying about and mocking me and others. Recently he mocked my reporting him to the police, saying, "I highly recommend Maria's attempts to get the police to take action against me for accurately reporting her dulladry. In addition to the ridiculous lie that my site has illegal content, this man has called me a Nazi, a racist, and Rose West, a famous serial killer. He's called me those things many times, all without the remotest attempt at justification. Well, how do you justify calling someone who's never even been arrested a serial killer? How do you justify calling someone whose own family suffered under both the Nazis and under a subsequent fascist regime, and who has opposed fascism and racism her entire life, a Nazi and a racist? He doesn't have to justify it. The woman haters will believe whatever they want to believe, and the handmaids who think they're being kind will continue to support them unthinkingly until they finally understand where this irrational reflex hatred of those fighting back comes from. Let me highlight one example from Pryor. He had an exchange about me with the heroic feminist Helen Steele, in which he claims to be 100% vindicated in the pack of lies he told about me. The man lies as easily as he breathes. He also lies about my police report. No, I didn't report him to the police. over a Twitter thread. I reported him for over 300 tweets, including retweets of that thread about me. That was in just 3 years. I haven't counted the ones in the 3 years since. Now, if you'd like to count how many tweets or mentions on my website I've made about him in response to his abuse and defamation of me, feel free. It won't take long. If it wasn't for his abuse and defamation of me and others, nobody would even notice his existence. To say he's obsessed is an understatement, yet he says I'm the one who should be locked up. And he promotes a video by that other bully that I've mentioned earlier, the one who calls himself Ethel Thurston. Given the time and effort that Thurston puts into expressing hatred against even people on his own side, even against other trans-identifying men, I truly believe that Thurston is a psychopath, and as Pryor is cut from the same cloth, it's hardly surprising that Pryor should admire and promote him. I'm not going to talk about the most recent invention where he accuses me of witnessing an assault on some teenager and being okay with it. He knows that's complete bullshit. Every time I think he can't sink any lower, he proves me wrong. Now, talking of debates, I think there is one and only one post of Pryor's that has ever caused me to laugh out loud, and which, because I have Pryor blocked and he has me blocked, I wouldn't even have seen it were it not for one of my followers bringing it to my attention. I invite Maria McLachlan to an exclusive one-to-one written debate on trans issues. Anytime you want to make a show of yourself, I'm here. Let me know, or chicken out, whatevs. Obviously, this is not a serious proposal. It's one he made to impress his Twitter mates. If it was, he would have contacted me directly. So I responded in kind from behind the block, saying I looked forward to hearing more from him. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he does go checking what people say about him on Twitter, even from behind the block. And of course I've heard nothing since. Notably, he wants a written debate. That's fair enough. I completely understand why he wouldn't want to take me on face to face. And in a written debate, he'd be able to get help from his friends. The truth is that if he had anything to say that couldn't be easily demolished, he'd have said it already, and not from behind the Twitter block. In fact, he did try it once with a piece on Medium. He called it Trans Rights for the Confused and Bewildered, and I demolished it very easily in a blog post of the same name. He has since taken down his original piece. When it comes to debating me or anyone else about transgender issues, Pryor would be way out of his depth. And we all know what would happen if he and I had a public exchange of views. Let's say the woman haters who support him will stoke his ego and say what a fantastic job he did. The women's rights supporters will say the same about me. But they'd be right. The actual difference between us as debaters is that I have shown myself capable of taking down trans cult nonsense in dozens of videos, and I've gained thousands of subscribers, and I have done so without telling what are demonstrable lies about those making those arguments. Pryor slags people off from the safety of his little bubble of fellow autogynephiles and their handmaids. No prizes for guessing how he'll respond to this video from me. I mean, first he'll probably pretend that he hasn't seen it, which is probably his best bet actually, but if he doesn't pretend that, he'll pretend to find it hilarious while having a total meltdown, and he'll call me names and he'll lie, because that's all he's capable of. Okay. I think I've got it all off my chest now. I don't need to say another word about this evil, disgusting individual, and I really don't want to know what he says about me in future, so please don't tell me. I've had enough of his abuse, and any other abusers like the one I showed in this video will just be banned from commenting on this channel. Normal service will be resumed with a vengeance as soon as I'm up to it. Thanks for watching.